So here's the question of the day. When are you going to begin to put some respect on Jared Goff's name? It's a valid question. And now, this video may not be what you think it is. And then again, it may just kind of be a little bit of everything that you need about Jared Goff. Jared Goff has really been in this, what I would call a prison of media harassment, if you will, and what seems like his entire career. But most notably, since he was sent packing from LA and, the fine words of encouragement that didn't come with Sean McVay on his way out, right? And the media trashing Goff, saying that, he's being sent to Detroit to watch his career die. Well, I mean, it really began then. And it kind of began in LA, but really at that moment, I mean, the media was all over Goff. And there was always these excuses, that Jared Goff can't do this and Jared Goff can't do that and he'll never become this. And, Detroit's going to wish they never, made this trade and blah, 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 blah. So my question again is this. When are you going to start putting some respect on this man's name? He deserves it. How about the Detroit Lions? You ever going to put some respect on their name? When are we going to deserve it? I understand that we're just a blip on the radar right now. We haven't done a whole lot for a long time, but I mean, you're talking about 30-ish games by now in a row. Really since the middle of 2022, the Lions have done incredible things. We've beat incredibly good teams and time again. And now with the hardest roster, or one of the toughest rosters to start the season, here they are 3-1 at their, end of the first quarter. And they've beat 3 really great teams, arguably 4 really great teams, but at least 3 really great teams in the Seahawks and the Cardinals and the Rams. Now, they should have beat the Bucs, but they didn't. But they played them well to a degree. They failed too. But now, for whatever reason, I think it's time the game recognizes game with Jared Goff here. And that's what we're going to talk about. So last night, Jared Goff did the unthinkable. Matter of fact, he did the undone, right? He organized a prison break out of Alcatraz with exceptional quarterback play. A little bit of Ben Johnson's mixology, actually a whole lot of Ben Johnson's mixology with a play called Alcatraz. Now that is kind of what this video is about. Now the parody is Jared Goff's been in this prison camp of media and he's breaking his way out, man. Chip by chip by chip. He's just breaking his way out. And he's finally done it again last night in a dazzling display, right, of precision and poise. Jared Goff led the Detroit Lions to a commanding victory over the Seattle Seahawks, finishing the game with a perfect 18 of 18 in the passing game. Now, obviously, this is a very remarkable achievement for any quarterback, something that has never been done before. And it not only secured what was a critical win for the Lions. I mean, this was a must-have win headed into the bye week. Vikings are on fire. Lions need to knot it up, before they take a break. Ride it high, get healthy, get ready for Dallas. But this win last night, it etched Goff's name once again in the NFL record books for the most completions, or the most completed attempts, I guess I should say, in a row at 18, and finished the game that way. But not only that, the Detroit Lions became the first team in NFL history to have 2 players throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and have a perfect completion percentage in the same game. That was Amon-Ra St. Brown having a receiving touchdown in the fourth quarter, along with his pass to Jared Goff for a touchdown, and Jared Goff going 18 of 18. The biggest part of this, I think, is how long has it been since, a record like this was accomplished? And there was a little bit of a stat that I had found. I actually heard, I got to find it. Now, I'll find it before we get off of this video here, but something since 1942 that this has never been done with what Jared Goff did last night. 1942. So since World War II, this record it hasn't been accomplished. So I'll have to find it. But anyway, we have a primetime showdown to talk about from last night. Seattle Seahawks, Monday night at Ford Field. Electric atmosphere, amazing atmosphere. Goff was perfect through the air. He notched 292 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Even perfect as a receiver, like I said, 7-yard reception, touchdown that ignited the crowd into what was a frenzy of emotion. I mean, people were ecstatic. the roof blew off the place. Ford Field was nuts last night. But it was Goff's flawless performance that set a new NFL record for the most consecutive completions to start a game, breaking previous records. We've already spoken about it. But this performance, in my opinion, it really further solidified Goff's status as one of the league's most elite quarterbacks, particularly in high-stakes games, which this was. I mean, you've got an undefeated team coming into your house. They're playing hot. They're ranked number one, overall in offense and defense, and they've got all these incredible marks, from PFF, and they're getting all the airplay. I mean, the announcers are just kind of riding the Seahawks, what? Jared Goff put them down, man. He put them down like they were pigeons. He put them down. But seriously, what will it take for you to finally realize that Jared Goff is an elite quarterback? I'm going to keep asking until someone can tell me what it's going to take. He may not run the fastest, right? I call him the broken giraffe. It was more of a funny. It's now taken off on Monday Night Football and, Eric's sign. And I mean, it's all over the place now. Of course, he used baby, which was the wrong word, but just the same, I guess it works. So Jared may not run the fastest. He may not have the best arm to ball speed or throw these sidearm flicks, off his back foot, leaning away. Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Stafford or, any of the other gunslingers that do it that way, Josh Allen. But he does everything a quarterback is asked to do well above the league average. And you can win with a quarterback like that because it's been done time and time again in the NFL. And Jared Goff has proven it time and time again that you can win with him under center. So let's rewind a little bit here. What am I talking about? This prison of media, right? This prison camp of media harassment. Jared Goff has taken many hits from the media over the years. And fans. I mean, it's so much so that fans wanted to start Hendon Hooker this year. What a travesty that would have been had Brad Holmes been as smart as you to think that Hendon Hooker was the right choice. Clearly not the answer. But over the last 3 weeks of the 2024 season, there's been talk that Jared Goff isn't performing to a $50 million quarterback, isn't performing to a $212 million contract. That he should be doing more, which, by the way, he's not making $50 million this year. He's not making $212 million this year. He's still making the same amount that he was supposed to make, albeit he did get a signing bonus, right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is during his entire career as a Detroit Lion, he has dealt with a lot of negativity, a lot of hate, a lot of resentment for whatever reason. Matter of fact, it was so bad last season that Goff even had to say something on a friend's podcast this offseason. He said, and this is partial quote, he says, I have this thing with our local media where they almost relish in negativity at times. It's true. It's perfectly true. Or how about Adam Rank in 2021? This was a classic, right? This one didn't age well, where he had this really, really outlandish take on Jared Goff. He says, I know you just traded for Jared Goff, but he's regressed the last couple of years. With offensive guru Sean McVay, maybe Goff could thrive with Anthony Lynn in Detroit. The coach who was in charge during Justin Herbert's amazing rookie season. But I think we've seen enough of Goff to know what we're getting. Goff would be fine as the backup in Kansas City or something. What? No respect. Are you kidding me right now, Adam Rank? Nice statement, buddy. How did that age? We've also heard, the hot takes from Stephen A. or, the system quarterback, that slap by Mike Florio. He always calls Jared Goff a system quarterback. Or the Seth Walders, right? He had the C grade he gave Jared Goff for offseason grades. And even Seth Walders' quote. So, here it is. The most important transaction the Lions made was the 4-year, $212 million extension that they handed to Goff. It's not a move I can endorse at that price. And it has the potential to hamper the Lions organization for years. Yeah, I don't know.
You sure about that?
You sure about that, buddy?
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Again, Jared Goff proved you wrong last night. I think he's proved you wrong through the first 4 weeks of the season. And then there was a week 2 loss, right, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of an ugly loss. Lions couldn't do anything with the football, it seemed like. They couldn't do anything right. But you know what? The defense showed up, and we still couldn't win a game. Most sacks they've had in a long time in a game, and still couldn't win a game. So defense isn't the answer either. But yet again, another snippet from this time, a local article that said, Jared Goff has always been something of a tale of two quarterbacks. The Goff playing without pressure from the defense is consistently one of the NFL's better quarterbacks. The Goff under pressure, well, not so much. So the Goff playing without pressure from the defense is consistently one of the NFL's better quarterbacks. The Goff under pressure, not so much. Man, it is just this constant beratement of Goff being under pressure and you know how you're so bad of a quarterback if it's not a system, right? And it's Ben Johnson's genius, or it's Sean McVay's genius as to why he's successful. Or he can't win without an offensive line. Or he needs all of these weapons around him. Blah, 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 right? It's this stuff that really drives me nuts. And I feel most of the people or the media, I mean, whoever's writing this stuff, I mean, without the last one, I respect that dude. But it was just a good take. You know, it was a good, you trying to drive the point that I'm trying to make here. That maybe they just don't understand it. That they're not football people. Maybe they're just writers, just writing. That they really don't understand football. They're just casual fans. Maybe some of these, you know, fans that are making these statements are just casual. They don't really watch football. They just kind of casually glance at it, you know. It's a fun Sunday afternoon eating some Buffalo Wild Wings with some buddies and, you know, a couple of tall Miller Lights or whatever. And they're just, you know, kind of watching football. But they're not really watching football. You know, they're not really looking at the stats. They're not watching tape. They're not studying the game. Just a casual fan. Not true football people. They really understand the nuances of the game, tend to make statements that don't age well or make statements that just don't make sense. Look, I don't know everything, right? I mean, I absolutely don't know everything, but I do know how to look at the stats, and I do know how to identify the meaning of those stats to the play on the field. And yes, I have a bit, you know, of a higher education when it comes to football. Coached football, played tons of different sports, right? But I study it every day. I watch the tape every day, but that doesn't make me right or better than anyone else. For whatever reason, I just tend to get a few more things right than other people, and I do spend a lot of time on this. So you would hope that I get a few things right, you know, especially with some of these opinions or takes that we all seem to have. And, you know, I don't do it unless it's backed by research. Just like this video, I won't do it unless it's backed by research. I do feel that pressure stats may be a bigger case narrative here, like just a garbage-driven stat versus reality, when it's constantly used against the quarterback without maybe looking at the whole story. So let's kind of take a look at it. Every week, Goff has been the 15th most pressured quarterback in the league. And in week 3, he was the 26th most pressured quarterback. So that was least amount of pressure, week 3. He has had the 15th best or worst, however you want to look at it, time to throw with an average of 2.8 seconds. And oh, by the way, he's completing 71% of his passes. Statistically, that might be the best he's ever done in the first quarter of a season. I did not look at that stat. Now I'm interested to know. But his passing completion percentage is good enough for 4th in the league. 4th best in the league. When you break it down, week 2 versus Tampa, Goff has pressured 31.6% of plays. He had 55 attempts, mind you. You don't throw the ball that often. I mean, you see what happens. Gino did it last night. You don't win football games. He took 0 sacks on 18 pressures. I mean, that takes a lot of, you know, a lot of doing things well to not take a sack on 55 dropbacks. 18 pressures. I mean, that's quite a few pressures. And he only had 2.69 seconds to throw. Now, we didn't put up any TDs in week 2 because, well, we got into the red zone 7 times and couldn't do anything. He also tossed 2 interceptions that night. We lost the game. Now, in week 1, Goff was pressured 35.5% of plays. He took 2 sacks on 11 pressures. So he was sacked more than he was in week 2. He took 2 sacks in this game versus 0 in week 2. Now, he dealt with 7 less pressures, but he also only had 2.67 seconds of time to throw. So about equal to week 2, right? 2.67, 2.69, more pressure, but less pressures. 2 sacks, 1 TD, 1 interception, won the game. So more pressure, but less pressures. And pressure as a percentage is what I'm saying. More pressure per percentage of play wins the game. Week 3, Goff had the least pressured game, 23.1% of plays, 2 sacks on 8 pressures, just under 3 seconds, 2.99 seconds to throw in that game, threw 2 TDs and 1 interception. So far, I think what you should be noticing here is the amount of pressure really hasn't correlated a whole lot to Jared Goff's performance. Now, I know there's a bunch of other stats out there, but these are the nuts and the bolts, in my opinion, of the stats. Now, week 4, Goff puts up last night 18 of 18, 292 yards, pressured 33.3% of plays, 3 sacks on 7 pressures. He had 3.08 seconds of time to throw, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. Get this. They scored 5 of 5 times in the red zone. And that was the knock on the Lions in week 2, especially Jared Goff, that he couldn't get his team into the end zone. Now, to wrap it up, Jared Goff did, in fact, get a game ball from Dan Campbell on Monday night. So there's that. And he was kind of laughing about it when talking about Ben Johnson still having his. So at the end of the day, this is what I want to say about Jared Goff, man. He does the unthinkable. He does, the undone. He sets NFL records. When you compare these stats, he's in the middle every single week of getting pressure. He's in the middle of time to throw, meaning, 15th, 16th, best or worst, however you want to look at it, in the league. In every week, he has, very similar, sack ratios to interceptions to touchdowns. And last night, he was pressured 33.3%. So this was the second most pressure he's had in a game so far this season. And he went 18 for 18 with no interceptions and 2 TDs, had his best game ever of the season. He also had just not even a tenth more in time to throw. So I don't think that Jared Goff deserves all of this crap that's being spewed. But he definitely broke his way out of Alcatraz last night, and I think that you guys need to start putting a little bit of respect on Jared Goff's name. It's time. The dude is an absolute baller. Yes, every quarterback goes through ebbs and flows. Yes, some quarterbacks take a little bit of time to get going. You look around the league and you tell me, really who started hot and stayed hot. It doesn't happen. Sometimes the wheels fall off. Sometimes you just got a little bit of a wobble. It needs to be rebalanced a little bit. Goff and this offense and this team, they still have a lot of work to do this season. The trajectory is going up. And that's all you need to see. But put some respect on this dude's name. What he did last night was absolutely insane. It's never been done. Another NFL record for Jared Goff and this Lions team on their way to victory. Shout out Jared Goff, man. The broken giraffe does it again.